Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jimena Villaseñor, Policy Analyst at the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce, previously International Business Affairs Coordinator for those who know me, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to today's International Business Affairs Forum. We have great speakers today from the county, the chairwoman herself, and David Perez Tejada from Mexico's National Migration Institute to discuss migration efforts and opportunities for migrants in our workforce. So as we see more people logging in, before we get started, I just wanted to quickly introduce and inform you all that the Chamber has welcomed a new International Business Affairs Coordinator to the team who will be leading these forums moving forward. So we're happy to have Miriam Mendoza join the team. She comes to us from her previous position as a community representative at Senator Padilla's Steve Padilla's district office. And most of all, we look forward to engaging in thought-provoking forums in the future and how she will be developing all of these. And very appreciative for those who have continuously joined these conversations. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce the Chamber's newly appointed International Business Affairs Chair, Eduardo Acosta, Vice President of R.L. Jones Custom House Brokers. Many of you might know him as Lalo, and he has been a partner with the Chamber for a very long time. So Eduardo, thank you so much for moderating this conversation and future forums. So please go ahead and start us off whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Jimena. I appreciate the introduction, the welcome. I'm excited to be a part of the Chamber's International Business Affairs as the chair for this year. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to the trips to Washington, things like that. So thank you for having me, and very excited today to start this first forum with two great speakers, the Chairwoman Nora Vargas and David Perez Tejada from the Mexican Immigration Institute, and I'll introduce both of them in a few minutes. And I also, just a little bit of housekeeping as our speakers are moving along. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and we'll be taking a look at them. Okay, so anyway, going back to our topics today, big topic is we're going to be talking to David and Chairwoman Nora Vargas on the insight on all the migration flows and explore how we can work around these, get our workforce integrated with these opportunities. As we approach elections this year, we've seen both candidates have taken this as one of the most controversial topics in the influx of immigration to our borders, putting pressure on all our local resources, shelters, nonprofit sectors, businesses, and communities. We see both of these candidates using immigration as a major tool in their campaign, so it should be an exciting campaign. 25% of San Diegans who identify as immigrants or refugees contribute $22 billion in spending power and over $9 billion in tax revenue to our local economy. Obviously, this is a big topic for San Diego as a global economy. Furthermore, in fact, 25% of all businesses in the 7 of 8 major sectors that are expected to grow the fastest over the next decade have all been started by immigrants. San Diego County has the 9th highest immigrant population among U.S. counties, comprising nearly 1/3 of the labor force in our county. It leaves to question, what are we doing in terms of inclusion of migrants into our economy and community? I mean, that is a huge question, and we're looking forward to get some great answers today. And what is the role of local authorities in tackling the issue, as well as the role of the federal government? We're going to start off with David to answer some of these questions. And David Perez Tejada, has spent more than 15 years in public service, holding various positions on the local, state, and federal levels in Mexico, dedicated to promoting this mega region of Cali Baja, as we all know it, and improving international relations. He has led efforts to establish the sister city agreement between Mexicali and Sacramento in 2013. David previously held a role as the Director of Binational Affairs for the state of Baja California, where he worked tirelessly to relaunch the Commission of the Californias and collaborated with stakeholders on both sides of the border to boost regional economy and stimulate innovation. Today, David serves as the state delegate for the National Migration Institute of Mexico in Baja California, better known as INAMI, and leads efforts to address regional and international migration issues in collaboration with regional partners such as the Mexican Consulate in San Diego and the U.S. Consulate in Tijuana. David is a good friend of all of us. Obviously, all his experience on both sides of the border are a big asset to our Cali Baja region. So, David, I look forward to hearing from you. And the Zoom is all yours. Bienvenido, David. Gusto saludarte.
Muchas gracias, Lalo. Thank you. First of all, thank you to the chamber. Now I'm part of the board, and I'm very proud that this the oldest business organization and the one with the most membership. We know it's an icon in the Cali Baja region, and also I would like to share this international forum along with Chair Supervisor Nora Vargas. She's a great friend, and she's been a great leader for the binational region of Cali Baja. Thank you, Lalo, and I will start with my presentation. I would like to explain first what is the National Institute of Immigration, so I can put you in context. This is a federal agency in Mexico. We are within the Department of State in the U.S. We are within the Interior Secretary, which is Gobernación in Mexico. And INAMI, if you could please go to the next slide, it's an agency that accordingly to the Mexican laws and international agreements, we are in charge of facilitating and supervising that all the legal procedures and migratory procedures are taking place within our national territory. The next one, please. On the next slide, we can see in Baja California, so we can put you in context and we can see the big picture of as a state. You are going to see all the different parts that we have presence. We have presence in ports of entry within the border from Pet West all the way to Andrade, California with Los Algodones. And then we have presence also in the airports, and we have two international airports, which are the Mexicali and the Tijuana International Airport. And we also have presence in San Felipe and Ensenada, that we have two small private airports. We also have a big maritime point of entry, which is the Ensenada Cruise Port. We have yachts, we have cruises that arrive almost every day. And we also have presence with the migratory stations are what in the U.S. Border Patrol called the detention centers. We have a more humanitarian side in Mexico on this issue of migratory station, and mostly because we have a lot of supervision from human rights organizations, and also because of courts ruling and other dispositions. We have also two human repatriation offices. This is all the people that is being deported from the U.S. into Mexico. We have an office in Tijuana and El Chaparral or Pet West, and we have one in Calexico, Mexicali, port of entry. And Beta Group, for those who don't know what is Beta Group, it is our rescue team. I'm going to explain it later. And we have 3 different locations for them. The next one, please. You're going to see in the next slide a map of Baja California, where you can see all the different airports, the different ports of entry, including the CBX. We have presence in CBX actually, and Rosarito and Ensenada, which are the maritime ports, and we have presence in San Felipe as well, which is now a municipality in Baja California. So this is all the areas we cover. It is a huge job and presence that we have with different federal agents. And for the next slide, you are going to see different all the different inspection points that we have. You in the picture you can see house our different presence in airports and lands of entry, and this is where our role, when someone from the US asks me what is our role in INAMI, it is similar, and it is a mixture of a CBP agent and also a border patrol agent, because we are in the port of entry as CBPs, and we ask the different tourists and people that visit Mexico to prove identity, the purpose of the visit, where are they residing, their address, the proof of stay in a hotel, Airbnb, etc. The next one, please. Well, we are working to improve some of the facilities at the airports. We improve a waiting room or the secondary structure at the airport. And also on the next one, we are going to explain a little bit. We are collaborating with the airport authority in Tijuana, and we are going to install the e-gates. This is a really great initiative for the binational region, because what we want is to accelerate and to facilitate the inspection in the points of entry. And this is going to be at the airport in Mexico, in the Cancun, the Mexico City and Guadalajara airports. We already have these devices, and it is really quick, the inspection. And we are working along with CBX to see if we can install in the following months this technology. The next one, please. Well, the human repatriation, I already talked about the 2 points that we have. The next one, in coordination with the 3 levels of government, community, and private sector. In the next slide, we are going to see how many people were deported from the United States. As you could see in 2021, 22, we have a huge peak, and this is because of the pandemic. We had before the Title 42, and the U.S., according to the immigration procedures, they were returning all the people that was entering. Now they are capturing all the people that are entering. That is by under Title 8. The next one, we are going to see all the different agencies and organizations that have presence at the Ped West. If you want to organize later on a visit from the chamber, I will be more than glad to show you our facilities, which are a model internationally that is supported by international organizations from the United Nations and other Mexican agencies from the government. The next one, it is about the Beta Group. It is a rescue team. It was founded 34 years ago in Tijuana, and they have presence in along the border in 3 different municipalities. Next one, please. I'm going to show you different pictures and what are their main activities. Some of them are orientation to migrants, and also organizing them to cross through CBP1 at the pedestrian ports of entry of Ped West, and also in Calexico, Mexicali. Next slide. Now I'm going to focus, this is some aspects about the rescues. And the next one, I'm going to talk about what Lalo was giving in the introduction as an overview. And one of the most important things of this panel today, now that I gave you the overview of what we do at INAMI, now I'm going to focus on how do we facilitate to the workforce of the binational region, and specifically in Baja California, what we do in order to cover all these job openings. It is said, according to Index, which is the manufacturing business organization, is that more than 15,000 openings are right now in Baja California available for people to work. And let me tell you something really important. For the Mexican law, the federal labor dispositions, you can hire 10% of foreigners in your company from the total of employees that you have. So if you have 100 employees in your company, you can hire in Mexico 10%, 10 people if you have 100. And we have these different offices. We have presence in 6 different cities of Baja California. And we have the schedule from Monday through Friday from 9 through 3 p.m. The next one, please. You are going to see some data about immigration procedures. The next one. Obviously, there's a lot of Americans that come to our offices in order to get the permanent resident card or the temporary resident card. There's a lot of Americans, U.S. citizens living in Rosarito, Ensenada, some of them which are retired already, or San Felipe is also one of the cities in Baja California that we have presence of U.S. citizens. If you see the slide, most of the people that come to our offices are from Haiti. There's a lot of people from Haiti that is living in Baja California, and a lot of Haitians are working in the industry. They are good workers, and a lot of people from Central America and South America are being hired by companies like Hisense, Samsung, some of the companies like Prime Wheel, and also Toyota. And there's a lot of Asians that are also coming as technical expert to the industry, such as Hisense and Samsung, which are Korean and Chinese. And there's a lot of technical people that are coming to work to Tijuana and Rosarito, to these industries. So the next ones, the next slide. Well, these are some of the procedures they do. The next one. I'm gonna go. Okay, who can have a working permit in Mexico? We give humanitarian visas for people that is asking for the condition of refugee or political asylum in our country. And we have permanent residents, which could be a foreigner that asks for asylum, or either for their permanent resident in Mexico, they can change the condition. And also, if they get married in Mexico, or they have kids in Mexico, they automatically get the permanent resident card. The next one, please. On these next slides, you are going to see what are the different procedures in order to get the certificate. As a company, you can come to our office, and we have new models of immigration and regulation procedures. And we have all the technology, we have all the different sites within our website of INAMI in the government. The next one. We even have different applications through our website. You can do the payment fees and everything. And we are developing, if you go to the next slide, we are explaining to the different business organizations in Baja California what do you have to do to get the certificate. As a company, we are facilitating that they can come to a specific window where we are going to give a special attention to people that want to hire foreigners in order to help people that is trying to cross irregularly into the U.S. or illegally, according to U.S. We want to keep people in Baja California. What we want is people to cross in a safe and orderly way into the U.S. using the CBP-1 app. What we don't want is CBP closing ports of entry as they did in the past, like 3 times in like Pet West or in El Paso or Nogales. So what we want is to keep people in Baja California because we have all these job openings and we have companies eager to hire foreigners because they are hard workers. There's even people with high level of education like Venezuelans and Colombians. There's people that have a master's degree, that have engineering careers that we need in the Cali Baja region. The next one, please. I'm gonna jump to the next slide. And well, have to obtain the employees registration. Obviously, the companies have to comply with tax regulations, and they only have to pay 360 pesos. This is like $18. This is nothing, and they can get their certificate in 1 day. This certificate is for you as an employer to be able to hire foreigners. And after you pay and get the certificate, then we go and do an inspection at the facility or the company. Okay, I'm about to finish. And this is what I told you about the business attention window. We call it BAE in Mexico. And we are working with you might know him, Kurt Honnold. He's the Secretary of Economy. He used to be my boss. But as part of the Baja state government with our governor Marina del Pilar, they have been working along with the business organizations and now with INAMI, so we can receive in this virtual attention window, and also we're going to have a physical one in all the different regulation offices in order to facilitate in 1 day the certificate for these companies. And also what we want is don't take numbers or appointments for the migrants in order for them to have more space when they come to our offices. I think I'm about to finish. We have an immigration regularization program, which is great. And what we want is people that has no condition in our country to come to our office and pay, we can call it a fine. They pay to be regular in our country. So we are not chasing or going after people. What we want to chase and avoid is people jumping the fence and crossing the border irregularly. So that's why we are working along with the business organizations in order to hire them as a workforce for our country. Well, just to finish, I'm just going to show you some of the, if you see me in different meetings and business organization meetings, I'm going to show you some aspects of our meetings and relations that we have. For example, for the CBX, and also a pedestrian bridge that they want to open for the trolley. We are in different talks and meeting with CBP and CBX and the state government. Also, we are working along with the state and state government, CBP, the Port of San Diego, the Coast Guard, and the Port of Ensenada for the binational ferry, which is going to be a reality this year between Ensenada and San Diego. And the next one, please. Well, this is all the different meetings that we have along with Kenya and the VP of International Affairs and all the team with all the different Cali Baja binational business organizations in order to work with different agencies to facilitate the crossings within the region. The next one. This is the last one. We work along with UN organizations. We have meetings with companies, facilitating the different activities. And well, thank you very much for this space and for your attention. I finished on time. So I don't know if the Q&A will be right now or at the end. And
We'll do it at the end.
it is an honor to participate in this international forum.
Well, David, thank you very much. And you know what? That is a very impressive and informative presentation you just gave. You know, there's a big misconception in the United States that Mexico just opens up the southern gate in southern Mexico and the migration comes through and they're just being pushed to the US. But it's very impressive what you guys are doing. A lot of these people are looking for a better life. And the fact that you guys are offering that in Baja California, which is a beautiful place to live and work, is very admirable. And I think it's important that you take advantage of those opportunities. And that is how we're helping the Cali Baja region, things like that. Congratulations on that. And I'm sure a lot of people probably feel the same way after listening to your presentation. Thank you, David. And we'll do the Q&A at the end. And again, if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll do the best we can to get to all of them at the end of our next speaker. Speaking of our next speaker, it is definitely my honor to introduce our next speaker, Chairwoman from San Diego County Board of Supervisors, Nora Vargas, who is the first Latina woman of color, fronteriza, to serve as the county supervisor. Chairwoman Vargas was sworn in January of 2021, became the vice chair of the board for her first 2 terms, and since January 2023, she has served as the chair of the Board of Supervisors. The San Diego County Board of Supervisors has been a champion of immigration, inclusivity, and post-Title 42. The county, spearheaded by Chairwoman Vargas, has allocated $6 million of non-designated funds to support a migrant transition center. Most recently, also, speaking of that center, Chairwoman Vargas, along with the rest of the Board of Supervisors, has sent a letter to President Biden and his administration to provide our region with $1.5 million per month to operate this migrant transition center. Nora, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to see you as always, being such an advocate for our region. Welcome to our first forum. Hola, Nora.
Buenos días, Lalo. Gracias. Muchísimas gracias por la oportunidad de estar con ustedes y me da mucho gusto que también está David aquí con nosotros, que es un súper amigo y en realidad, I just want to say that I have been working on issues related to the border and immigration probably about, 30 years of my political career, or my public service career, I should say. I started when I was 2. But honestly, the work that we're doing together now, the collaboration, the camaraderie, and really the understanding about the power of the binational community, I think the momentum that we have right now has never been seen in this region and in the country. And I think that all of us, together can really begin to change and have a very different conversation about what our border region is. And so I want to say thank you to the Chamber, to Jimena, to former Mayor Sanders for really taking on the lead on really beginning to lay the groundwork as we have these conversations that go beyond immigration, but also the workforce component of what we're doing. And so I'm really thrilled to be here today and to have an opportunity to share some of the stuff that we're doing, some of the work that we're doing on the Board of Supervisors. And so, first and foremost, it's absolutely important that we have a conversation about, how do we build a future-ready workforce, and how do we connect that to immigration reform, and really what that looks like for us as a binational region. I have to say that I look at it from a couple of different components, right? There is the work and the policy work that needs to happen from immigration reform as it relates to our asylum seekers, our refugees, our undocumented communities that need to be able to be integrated into the region in San Diego. And then we also, at the same time, having a conversation about the economic impact of our workforce. How do we begin to have a conversation about what is already happening, but formalizing it in such a way that actually it is being seen by the folks who live in Washington that are so far away that don't understand the power of this binational community. And so I always start off by sharing with people, right, that I'm really proud to be a fronteriza. And I often tell people that when I first ran for office, I was told not to be talking about it because people would not vote for me. And yet I think that being a fronteriza, being binational, bilingual, it really is my superpower. It really is the ability for me to really share the power of our community. And so as we sit in the Pacific Rim and the Cali Baja region, I believe that we are the future of this country. And so when you talk about the 7 million of us and who understand the power of this community and economic impact that we have, I think is really powerful. I don't want to go into all of the data that you all know, but I just, as you know, right, is it $20 billion of San Diego's production if each year is added by Tijuana. Our trade is consistently exceeds $4 billion per year. And I think it's important to talk about the fact that the exchange between Tijuana and San Diego is valued over 2.1 million. The part that we don't talk a lot about that I think is extremely important is that over 50 million people cross the border between San Diego and Tijuana, but really the importance about talking about the people who cross the border every day. And I was one of those people, right? I was one of those people that crossed the border every day to go to school. And like me, there's so many of us who have the privilege to be able to do that. And I think that's a very different conversation that we must have. I also think that as we're having this conversation about who crosses the border every day to commute, to work, and to school, we need to start putting into context about what the impact is to our San Diego region in a favorable way. Because I'll tell you this, I was sharing with some folks the other day, as we're trying to address homelessness in San Diego County, we can't forget that if you look at the numbers in Los Angeles or in San Francisco, the numbers of folks that are unsheltered are in the hundreds of thousands, right? If you think about how many right now at our last point in count, I think in 2023, because the numbers are not yet back here in 2024, you see that there's about 10,400 or so folks who are unsheltered. I do believe that if it wasn't for the fact that people can live in Tijuana, our numbers would be greater. And there's a couple of reasons why we need to address this and we need to look at this. Obviously, housing in San Diego is a big issue that we are addressing as a county board of supervisors. But I think the other part is the displacement of people who live in Tijuana and what that impact has in our communities of the gentrification that occurs in Tijuana as well. So those, I think, are conversations and data that we still need to gather as a region that I think are very important about the fact that if it wasn't for the fact that people can live in Tijuana and come to work to the United States or go to school, the number of unsheltered population will be much higher in our region, number one. And number two, I think this is important and an important conversation to be having as a community, because when we're talking to folks in Washington about the border waits being too long, and I've had many conversations with Lalo about this and the folks at the Otay Chamber and some of the other chambers about the impact of the border waits, what does that look like, the San Isidro Chamber. And I think people think that these are issues that only people who live in the border should care about. But these are issues that anyone who lives in the region in San Diego or in our state need to care about, because in the end, people are going to work to, the northern part of San Diego, East County, other areas. And so the flow of people coming back and forth is so important. And so the extensive regional flow of goods and services, of the human capital is so significant and such an economic driver for the region that I think it's extremely important that we don't forget that is why our communities continue to thrive. And in order for us to be sustainable, inclusive, and equitable in our workforce, we need to take all those things into consideration as we're moving forward. So I'm happy to answer any questions around the workforce component and some of the things that we're doing and some of the ideas that I think we can really think about as we're moving forward to address some of the needs that we have as a border region in order to address some of the workforce issues related to healthcare and some of the other industries that are being impacted where we don't have people who are culturally competent and who really understand our regions as much as they do. But I want to kind of take a step back and talk to you about the role of the county as it relates to asylum seekers and the work that we've done around our immigration issues, and more importantly, the work that we're doing to integrate folks who are immigrants and undocumented into the region. This is really unprecedented. This had never happened before, right? I will say that the county did step up before this board came in and has, when we did the work around the rapid response was when Title 42 was first enacted. Many of us as organizers, before I became a supervisor, we were doing this work to make sure that people were treated with dignity and respect. But never before had a county invested $6 million in order to ensure that we have a migration transition center that could really help people get to their final destination. That had never taken place before. And for us, and for me, it was important, not just because I'm an immigrant or a fronteriza, but because I really do believe that people need to be treated with dignity and respect. And in the end, asylum seekers are legally in the United States, and they should be able to reach their final destination. They should be able to be reunited with their families because they're fleeing persecution, because they are folks who are seeking a better life, and the law states that they are legally able to be here. Now, there's a work component that is included into the asylum seekers and what they're able to do. However, because of the backlog that exists at the federal government, most of them are not able to immediately begin to work. And that's something that I am monitoring very closely, because I think it's important that we identify how we can ensure that folks who are now here seeking asylum are able to be part of our workforce. But that's another piece of the work that we're doing. As it relates to the transition center, the migrant transition center that we created, I think everybody knows that it costs between $1 million and $1.5 million to be able to process folks and get them to their final destination. It's really important for folks to see that at one point we were having about 500 folks, asylum seekers, a day. As of last count, when we had to close the center down because of lack of funding, it was about 900 people a day, and that number continues to grow. The challenge that now we don't have the migrant center, and so folks are being dropped off at EDs and or some of the other transit centers, and that has an impact not only on our communities, but it also has an impact, on folks who imagine, being dropped off somewhere you don't know the language, you don't have the money, the currency, you don't have access to your phone because there's nowhere for you to get your phone charged and be able to call your family and get a ticket, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's a lot of reasons why these migrant centers work and why it should be a model for the country, and why I continue to advocate with the Biden administration and say to them, we have a solution to be able to address this. And so let's do this together and let's find the resources to be able to make sure that we address this immediate need. For us as a county, we did this to mitigate some of the challenges facing our community. But at the same time, we've also are thinking about what the long-term approach is to advocate for federal and state funding. And so we have actually, as a board, are working with the local NGOs to try to figure out how do we make sure that we have these standing centers that are able to help our communities. And so I can go into a lot of detail and happy to answer the questions about why the transitional centers really are important. But as a board, and this was a bipartisan effort, that we understood that this is a humanitarian crisis, a global humanitarian crisis, that looking away is not going to make it go away. And so we need to make sure that the resources are available for those that are seeking asylum are able to get to their final destination. I believe that the federal government, this Congress has failed us, and they have the opportunity, and this is not me getting political, this is just me telling you the truth, that there is funding that has been requested to be able to mitigate this for our communities, but however, it has not, the funding is not available. So again, this is an issue that is a federal issue, but for too long, we haven't had the response that we have needed from the federal government. And I really do believe that as the folks who are responsible for the safety net of our communities and public health care and those issues about day-to-day quality of life, it is our responsibility as a county to think about how we make sure that everyone who is here in the county of San Diego is treated with dignity and respect. And so I will end by saying that we have made a commitment as a county to ensure that not only are we looking at our binational region from an economic perspective, right? East Otay Mesa, focusing on that as the chair of SANDAG, or creating the partnership with the bike lanes and a lot of other different ways of really boosting our economy. But I think we also need to make sure that we're looking at the global humanitarian crisis and what that looks like. And again, I started off by saying that we are in a very new space in our communities, and that the relationship that we have with the Mexican government has never been, this is unprecedented. And so I'm grateful for my friend and colleague David, and for the governor, Marina del Pilar, for really understanding the power of binational region, and then figuring out how we work together, right? So there's a lot of issues that we can talk about when it comes to our region, but I think the fact that we are able to work together and pick up the phone and identify how in the end we can move our communities forward, I think is extremely powerful. And so I'm excited. I think the one last thing I'll leave you with is that under my tenure as a supervisor, one of the other two things that I did was create the 2 welcome centers. We've invested $450,000 in the one in South County, and that's because it's only in the first phase, and then about $700,000 in a welcome center in North County. And this is for folks who are immigrants, undocumented legal residents, so that they can integrate into the community. I think most of you know that I'm really proud that I served as the first director of the Office of Immigrant Affairs for the city of Los Angeles, which was the first one of its kind in the Western Hemisphere, then helped support create the one in San Diego. But here in the county of San Diego, we have an Office of Immigrant Affairs, and it's really for us a way to integrate our communities so that people understand that this is their home now. And as their home, they should have opportunities to be able to thrive, because who knows, maybe the next son or daughter of any of these immigrants or asylum seekers that are here today are going to be the next governor of California, are going to be the next business owner, are going to be the ones that discover the cure for cancer. I don't know. I have a lot of faith in our communities, and I really do believe that we make a difference in these communities, and it's important that we treat people with dignity and respect, and we're going to continue to do that as a county. So I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm excited to continue the conversation. Muchísimas gracias.
Nora, thank you very much. That is, that enthusiasm that you bring to the table, to your position in this region is why it's so successful, and we appreciate it very much. And we also thank you for sticking around for some questions. And I'm gonna go to a couple of questions. And reminder, if you can put them in the Q&A box, we would appreciate it very much. And the first question, I'll just start with this first question, David. I think this one is for you. Why are they hiring so many professionals? Why are they hiring professionals from other countries when Mexicans need those positions? I think that's a good question. And David, if you can help us with that one, and there's a few for you too, Nora, so we'll come back. Go ahead, David.
Yes, because we have several job openings. I will answer that way. And also we have a lot of talent that goes abroad. And there's a need in the US as well. When we promote the Cali Baja mega region, there's a lot of opportunities for foreigners to work in the San Diego area in the biomedical industry, in different areas of health, and they're always looking to Baja California because we have a lot of research centers in Ensenada, Tijuana, Mexicali, and we have talent here. But the thing is, we have sufficient, and we have. I was telling you the figures that we have more than 15,000 job openings in Baja California, and we are doing job fairs. We are trying to hire people, and if we don't have enough Mexicans that have the talent and the degrees or the different skills to be hired in the industry, you go after foreigners. And there's sometimes they need a specific technicians or specific skilled people, and this is something that human resources people will agree with me, that you need a specific skilled workers for an industry. And sometimes you cannot find them in Mexico. So that's something that we need to collaborate in the binational region. Also, you need to work with universities within the region to work in a school to work committee. So you have that linkage, and you can ahead of time work on the different careers that you want to offer in the Cali Baja mega region. And that's something we have been working along with Jimena Villaseñor, with Kenya, with Lucas Coleman, and the people from the EDC, from the chamber, and also from the Tijuana EDC, in finding ways on how we can cooperate within universities, within the different careers and openings we have within the region. What we want is our people to be hired first. And if we don't have enough people to be hired within the region, then we go after foreign residents. But the people that come to Baja, the other day they were asking me, how many people stay in Baja from all the thousands of migrants that arrive every month? I was telling them that I think only 10% stay in Baja or less. And this is people from China, from Haiti, from South America, that probably they already have relatives, or they see an area of opportunity in Baja California to do a better life. Or they have already a community, because we have a big Chinatown in Mexicali. We have a small Haiti town in Tijuana already. So people feel that this is a small part of their country. So we are not blocking our Mexicans or the Baja California residents to have the opportunity to work in any of the different fields.
Well, David, thank you. That's a great answer, and you explained it very well. And you answered part of the next question was, what percentage of refugees get work permits? You said 10%. And the other question, just to finish this topic with you, is how many employers have registered to hire refugees? Is there a process to hire, or do they just post opportunities, or how does that work?
No, the thing is, what I explained in my presentation is that you can get the permit in 1 day. For example, your company, RLL Jones in Mexico. If you want to hire people, you just come to our office, bring all the different paperwork, like your legal constitutional bylaws, all the different, like proof of your utility bill and whatever your taxpayers bill and everything, proof of taxpayer. And after that, you just pay 360 pesos, which is like $20. And you pay that in the same day. If you comply with everything, we have a certificate. So for 1 year, you are allowed to hire foreigners, and we do an inspection to see that you are actually having operations in our state. And from there, you can hire whoever you want, as long as they have proof of legal migratory condition in Mexico. That's it. They can be a humanitarian visa, which is a refugee in Mexico. They can have a permanent resident card. They can have a temporary card, different kind of condition. And you even can offer a working visa permit to any foreign resident. And this has to be approved 50-50 from INAMI, and the 50% in their country of origin. They go to they call it a consular appointment, when they get an interview with the consul for example, in San Diego. If we have someone from South Korea living in San Diego, and Samsung wants to hire them in Tijuana, we approve 50% of the permit here, and they have to go to the consulate in San Diego to get the other 50% approved. So it's something that we certificate between the Foreign Affairs Office and INAMI. This is something great because it facilitates, it gives more accuracy and it's a certificated process in order to hire foreigners. So it is part of the process and it is really, really easy. In less than 30 days, you can be hiring people that is paying taxes in Mexico and also can have access for a housing credit, Infonavit in Mexico, and also they can be part of the Social Security in Mexico as well.
Thank you, David. Great answer. Thank you very much. Okay, Nora, here's one. How does San Diego have a program like REP in Los Angeles?
Mm-hmm. See, so thank you for that question. So now it's the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs, Refugee Support Services. It used to be called the Refugee Employment Services, and it's under Health and Human Services Agency. And so they help with refugee employment and support services through the network of really contracted providers that we have for new and arriving refugees, families and folks. But I think what's really important about this, and I put the link on the webinar on the Q&A. What's important to note about this is that all of this is housed under the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs now, which is the office that I said I was able to create for the County of San Diego. But I think what we do well, that I think it's important to mention, is that we work really closely with like the International Rescue Committee. We work very closely with JFS, with Refugee Resettlement. We work very closely with all of the on-the-ground nonprofit organizations that are doing this work. And so the county not necessarily is in the business of looking for jobs and job placement, but more importantly, connecting our refugee community to the folks who are the experts on the ground. And so it's been successful that way. Happy to share more information and give you the contact for Lucero. I'll try to see if I can get it so I can put it on the webinar chat. I'm just really bad at technology sometimes, but we'll make sure that we get it to you all, because I think it's a really important part of what we're doing. And what I do want to share also, I welcome anybody to come. I think it'd be great for the committee to come and visit the Welcome Center in National City that we have, so that you can see the work that we're doing, because I'm really proud of the fact that it has nonprofit organizations from the county, throughout the county, that are there helping communities to integrate into the County of San Diego. And I think that's pretty fantastic, because there's nothing like that, nothing of its kind anywhere in the country. And it's something that I think as a border region and as a community, we should be very proud of. So happy to invite you all to come. Maybe we can do a tour or something in the morning, and you can see all of the different, it's a beautiful location. There's still a lot more work to be done, but also I think it's the opportunity to see how we're connecting the dots for people. Because I think, it's sometimes scary when you don't know the language. And I think all of us as immigrants know that. So thank you.
Hey, Nora, and speaking of the Welcoming Center that you guys implemented in National City, how does that address, if you can be a little more specific, how does it address the workforce opportunities? How do you transition from the Welcoming Center into the workforce in our communities?
It's I think directly connected, like I said, to these nonprofit organizations that help people in order for them to be able to be connected to workforce. I think there's a lot more work we can do, right, with the Workforce Partnership and some of the other folks that are out there, and I'm open to any recommendations. But I think for now, what we do is we connect folks to the different organizations like the Refugee Services, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, I'm happy to think about how else we can do it so it's much more streamlined as well.
Okay, now one final question for both of you, and you can both answer or either one. Why is comprehensive immigration reform so urgently needed to foster a thriving economy, promote social responsibility, and ensure a sustainable, inclusive, and equitable workforce for the future? I know it's a loaded question, but I'm sure that you guys, this is right up both your alleys.
I mean, I'll tell you, I think for the United States, it is absolutely crucial. If you think about we are a nation of immigrants, the fabric of our communities. We are in desperate need of culturally competent folks to be able to provide services around healthcare, behavioral health, also many issues that it would be so powerful if we had a program between the US and Mexico. You know, remember the European Union, not a perfect model, but if we were able to have these work opportunities, right? I mean, the number of psychologists that we need that are culturally competent to be able to provide the services is one of the things that I've been looking at, because in order for us to meet the gaps that we have, it would be wonderful to be able to have the workforce from Baja to be able to support that. But we have to start thinking outside the box and really thinking about the power of this region versus the scapegoating that continues to happen. I think that's one. The second thing is that we need people to do the work. That's just basic economics 101. And if you look at what happened through COVID and the impact that it had on our region and our country, we don't have enough workers. And so we need more people to be able to work and to be integrated. And so I do believe that we need to stop scapegoating our communities and really talk about the power of who we are. And the perfect example is this binational region that thrives because we're able to really elevate who we are economically, socially, and culturally.
Thank you, Nora. David, you want to take a jab at that too on the Mexican side? Thank you.
Yes, I totally agree with my friend Chair, because she talked about something really, really important, which is a program, a binational program that truly helps both countries, because the US needs in some specific sectors workforce, and this is the medical sector. There is a lot of needs of nurses, doctors, and we prove it with the pandemic. And also they need in the engineering openings, in the biotech industries, and Mexico sometimes has this workforce. We even see it when we visit Sorrento Valley, Carlsbad, La Jolla, which is the biotech sector or area valley in Southern California, and they are hiring people from Ensenada or the different universities in Baja California, because they need this specific skill workforce. And we prove it with the pandemic. If you go in the tourism sector, if you go to San Diego, you see that right now there's a lack of servers, a lot of they need housekeeping, they need a lot of in the services sector. You can even see it, Lalo, that you are in the import-export or logistics. There's a lot of need of people in the different facilities, warehouses, in everything that, and as I vision this in the future, is that people can still live in Mexico. It's only giving them working visas, and you can go working in San Diego and come back to live in Tijuana, Tecate, or wherever you live along the border cities. I think this will be a cross-border collaboration, and also helping the region to be a very dynamic in the labor workforce within the region. I think it is urgent, and I think this is one of the big key points that the San Diego Regional Chamber has been working, and this is one of the topics that we bring to Mexico City, and specifically Washington D.C. when we go and talk to the Department of State, and also to CBP, because we need to work with the U.S. Congress and also with the Mexican Congress, because this is a binational issue that needs to be solved in the immediate future.
Thank you, David. Chairwoman Vargas, David, thank you guys very much. We're just on time here. I really appreciate it. Hearing from you guys what you're doing really energizes all of us that are on a daily basis are trying to keep San Diego as a global identity. We really thank you, and we thank you for encouraging us and motivating all of us to continue to do this. I think this forum was very successful. Great comments from everybody. Thank you for commenting. We're going to wrap it up. And I just want to remind everybody that our chamber delegation to DC will be April 14th to the 17th. We're going to be visiting with the ambassador from Mexico in the US, Department of State, Congress, a lot of fun meetings. So you still have time to register. Please register, talk to Miriam or Jimena. And we thank you everybody for sticking around for a few extra minutes. Have a great day. Nora, David, muchísimas gracias. Thank you all.
Gracias. Thank you.
Bye-bye.